Good morning, everybody. So here we are with our Maamer, Garments of the Soul, Vayishlach Yeshua. So far, we are doing absolutely great on it. We are moving forward. We started off with this concept that there are two stories of spies in the Torah. The first one is of Moshe Rabbeinu, where the Yidden came to Moshe and asked to go and spy on the land before they enter it. The Yidden asked for it. Hashem did not command it. And not only that, but they wanted to spy over the entire lay of the land, as opposed to in the times of Yeshua, Moshe had already passed, and Hashem commanded him. Yeshua sent spies, but Yeshua sent spies only to the city of Yericho, which was considered the luck of the land, the key to get into the rest of the land. And Moshe's story did not come out so pretty, and Yeshua's story, on the other hand, did. And so we're going through this, and to see, just like everything in Torah, it has a lesson for us to be lived, and it has a lesson for us to be not just lived like, oh, this nice concept that happened in Torah way back when, but really lived in the sense that we have what to learn from it now in our very lives. And so we started by explaining what this means in terms of our avodas, in terms of us, of our internal workings. What does this mean? So we understood that the entire lay of the land, the full land, is representative of our 7 emotions, right? Of all of our emotions. I'm sure we know them very well. Right now we're counting Sphira, so we're going through them over and over and over again, which, by the way, I am going to discuss that in a minute. The fact is that we are going through them. So just keep that in mind. On the other hand, the luck of the land, Yericho, according to Zohar, has a certain connection to our thought, our speech, and our actions, right? So the 3 garments of the soul, which garments can be changed. It's not an intrinsic essential thing. You can choose to go back to sleep right now. I hope you don't. Or you could choose to stay up and enjoy this amazing shiur. So it's your choice, and you can change your garment just like that. I could choose to wear this shirt, or I could choose to go in the bathroom, change my shirt, and come back out and look totally different, right? So it's a choice that we make. So Yericho is representative of their 3 garments. And the 3 garments, according to what we're saying so far, is that those are the luck of the land. They're the key that get us to change everything else in our lives, okay? So we spoke about that. And we spoke about the difference between tzaddikim and beinanim. And we went into a beautiful discussion about the viewpoint according to Tanya. And again, this is the Tanya's viewpoint on tzaddikim and beinanim. It's a very interesting story. My husband recently told me of somebody who has a chavrusa, a Lubavitcher that has a chavrusa with somebody who's not a Lubavitch. And the non-Lubavitcher, they're learning Tanya. So he said that he learned the Sefer. He picked up the Sefer on his own, and he decided to read through it, which is amazing in of itself, a kol hakavod to him. But then he realized, like, I didn't really fully understand it, so he decided to ask a Lubavitcher. So he found this friend, and he said, can you please learn Tanya with me? So as they were learning Tanya, he said this guy who was not Lubavitch said to the Lubavitcher and said, the only thing I don't like about Chassidus is that you can never become the Rebbe. And it's just so interesting how the difference in perspective between a Chabad Chassidus mindset about a tzaddik, becoming a tzaddik. It says it really bothers him that the level of tzaddik is so unattainable, so to speak. It has to be given as a bracha from Hashem. We have to do our part, which we're going to actually discuss in the Maamer. We have to do our part towards becoming a tzaddik, but at the same time, it's a bracha that's given. At the end of the day, it's not something we can achieve on our own. But meanwhile, so the friend that's a Lubavitcher, he explains, he goes, my version of a Beinani, the Lubavitcher's version of a Beinani, the Tanya's version of a Beinani, is in a certain sense even greater than a tzaddik. So you can become a tzaddik, you can become that. But he's like, no, it's not the number one thing. And it's interesting how for many people, Their Yiddishkeit is based on them becoming the top of the top. I know it's slightly off topic, but I did want to bring, so Shabbos afternoon, I do, like my husband and I organize Mesiba Shabbos party for the kids. And so while they're eating, I always tell a story. So I decided, now that I'm really into the Baal Shem Tov these days, for those of you who haven't heard, so I decided to read this book. So what I do is I read it earlier in the day, and then I give it over and I like make it really, because if I read it straight, they're going to get bored. So I involve them in the story, and I like play out the story and whatnot. And so what I did was, it was a really, really powerful connection to be able to hear the very intense difference in the versions of what a tzaddik is and what a beinoni is, even before the Baal Shem Tov came around and taught Chassidus for the first time. So again, here we're discussing the tzaddik and the beinoni, and Ois Gimel, we're discussing it from the viewpoint of Chassidus, which means that a tzaddik is someone who has full control over everything. They have full control over all of their thoughts, their speech, and their action, and they obviously have full control. They themselves have full control over their emotions. They can, they don't wake up grumpy on a Sunday morning. They don't wake up, rubbing their eyes and thinking twice, oh, should I really get up and join the shiur, or should I go roll back to sleep, right? So meanwhile, on the other hand, we may not have we have the capability that we can work towards having that control and to teach ourselves and train ourselves to wake up happy no matter what. But what are we able to conquer? What do we have full control over is our thought, our speech, and our actions. Those things we can fully conquer. We can really work to perfect. You know what I think about the word perfect. But we can really work to conquer it and to have control over them so that we can achieve this level of beinoni. We have that. Just like you can choose not to sneeze in someone's face, so too you can choose what actions you take throughout your day. So, if you didn't get that reference, I spoke about it in our last class about sneezing in someone's face. Okay, so that's where we left off in Ois Gimel, and now Ois Daled, we're going to start. Now, I hope people took the time to review this on Shabbos, because again, me teaching it to you is nice and dandy. When you actually sit and you go through it and you read it and you learn it inside, it's just a whole different level of understanding. Okay. Daled, okay? Be a tzaddik. It can be said that this explains the eternal relevance for every generation of the commandment to annihilate the 7 nations and conquer their land, despite the fact that the conquest of their land represents a transformation of the 7 emotions of the animal soul to holiness, and this is only relevant to tzaddikim. Indeed, not every person merits this, since every Jew must do all in his power to fulfill the oath administered to him, be a tzaddik. So 1 second, we just said that tzaddikim is a whole new level. It's a whole other level that we are working towards being beinanim. We're working towards conquering our thought, speech, and our actions, right? We're working towards choosing what we think, choosing what we speak, and what we say to ourselves and to our others around us, and choosing what actions we do. We could sit and scroll through social media for hours, or we could sit and do something that will, by the end of the day, will feel nice and productive, right? So that choice we can conquer. But meanwhile, tzaddikim, emotions, not our thing. That's what we just said in the previous ice. No. The Rebbe comes and he says, 1 second. Every single neshama took this oath. Be a tzaddik. So there is a certain level of us that can reach this level of tzaddikim. Okay? This explains by the story of sending of the spies by Moshe to scout out the entire land is also written in the Torah. Torah milashon hayra. Torah connotes hayra, instruction. Everything in the Torah is an instruction for us. Since every Jew must scout out and examine his emotions and ensure that they are entirely devoted to Hashem. Nevertheless, regarding Moshe's spies, it is written, send for yourself on your own accord. I am not commanding you, since the primary command of scouting and examining oneself applies to thought, speech, and deed, the conquest of Yericho. over which every person has control, unlike the emotions of the heart. Okay, so 1 second. So what did we just say? On the one hand, we said every single thing in Torah is a lesson for us, which means even the story of Moshe, which we just said Moshe was not commanded. Moshe was the concept of tzaddikim. Even such a story has relevance to every part of our lives. 1 second, I'm going to fix this.
Where's your next lesson?
Oh, okay. I didn't realize if we were. Just by the way, whatever you say now is going to be part of the recording. So just a heads up. If you want, you can, but I'm just a heads up. Okay. So every single part of Torah was meant to teach us a lesson. So too here, as much as the concept of having your 7 emotions in full control is not expected. It's not something that we, somebody on the level of a Beni, which Mitzvah Hashem, all of us are working towards it, are at the level to conquer. That said, and as we're doing right now, is we're counting Sphira. During Sphira, we're working on them. So we can work on them. And we have this oath that we took right before we were born that says, be a tzaddik. So we are meant to work on our emotions, but we're not expected to conquer them. So again, I want to give a very, very, very beautiful thought about the difference between how you relate to your emotions versus how you relate to your thoughts, your speech, and your actions. Our emotions, we should work towards fixing. We should work towards elevating. We should work towards really, having more love for Hashem, having more yira for Hashem, having, being careful about our chesed. Right now we're in the week of Malchus, being Malchustic. It's a beautiful and wonderful thing. We should work on them. That said, if at any point in time we're getting in a bit of a rut, we're not feeling so great, we're not feeling so we don't have to come and say, oh, I'm such a doofus, chas v'shalom, or I'm such a whatever, because my emotions aren't perfect. I don't have my emotions all down pat. You aren't expected to have your emotions down pat. You're expected to work on them, and you're expected to work on your thoughts, your speech, and your actions, which means even the fact that somebody would say to themselves, oh, I'm such a doofus, that's a speech. That we can change. We don't have to say such a thing. Our thoughts, we can realize that Chassidus comes and tells us this is not, if we're thinking of ourselves that we have to achieve above and beyond, then we have unrealistic expectations and we're going to disappoint ourselves, chas v'shalom. So again, we have to be very, very proud of the fact that we can conquer our thought, speech, and our actions. And through doing that, we can put ourselves in a better place throughout our day. Does that make sense? I hope so. Yes, thank you. Okay, so here we're saying very, very, very clearly that the fact that the story of Moshe is in the Torah, we are meant to work on ourselves and we can work on our emotions. And as we spoke about, if you joined our last Maamer, we did work on our emotions. We worked really hard towards having yira for Hashem, towards having ava, towards having love for Hashem, having awe, respect, really working on ourselves in these ways. And right now we're counting Sphira. We are working on Haid, Yisaid, Malchus, all these beautiful things. But what are we expected to have full control over? Our thoughts, our speech, and our action. Okay, I have a bit of time. Let's go. Okay, hey, let's do this. Garments. The reason for this, that thought, speech, and deed are within man's control, unlike the emotions of the heart, is because thoughts, speech, and deed are the garments of the soul, right? We spoke about garments. Therefore, just as with regards to the garments of the body, although man needs clothing for the purpose of modesty, since they, Adam and Chava, were ashamed, and also for the purpose of protecting himself from the cold and the heat, nevertheless, he can remove them. And he certainly does not need these particular clothing that he is wearing now. He can exchange them for others. So 1 second. Garments. What's this deal with garments? Our garments, as much as we need them, we have to use garments because we have to be tznius, and we have to use garments because at some point we're going to be too hot or too cold, and we need that type of protection. That said, as I said earlier in the shiur, I could go right now and get changed and change this entire shirt and my entire outfit. You can change the actual garment you're wearing. So you do need garments, but you have the choice about which garments to wear. Similarly, with regard to the garments of the soul, the garments of speech and deed can be shed, and even thought, which is constantly active, cannot be shed. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Let me read that again. Sorry. Similarly, with regard to the garments of the soul, the garments of speech and deed can be shed, and even thought, which is constantly active, it cannot be shed, can be replaced with a different thought. Right? What does that mean? It means that as much as for example, our actions. Right now, I am moving my hand. Everyone can see, I'm moving my hand, I'm moving my hand, I'm going to choose to move it this direction. So I was able to change that. Not only that, but I was able to stop. I can literally just stop moving my hand. So I can change. I can proactively change. Now, my speech, I could be speaking. Right now I'm speaking, and I could stop. I could stop speaking. So we could wear that clothing, or we could end that. We could stop it. Meanwhile, our thoughts is a whole different level. Our thoughts, according and very clearly, according to Chassidus, our thoughts don't stop. And as much as there are other mindsets, I guess, in the world, that they work very hard towards stopping their thoughts, at the same time, according to Chassidus, we aren't able to, that's not a goal that we work towards. Stopping our thoughts is not a realistic goal to work towards. And so therefore in Chassidus, what we do is we change our thoughts. So on the one hand, movement, action and speech can be stopped. It can be shed, so to speak. But thoughts, it's a constant going, it's a constant. 1 second, I'm going to okay. It is a constant move. It's a constant going. It's every single moment. There's a thought that comes, and then the next one, and the next one. But what we can do, even though we can't stop our thoughts, we can choose to replace it. Just like this shirt. I am wearing a shirt. I can't walk around and I'm not wearing a shirt, but I can choose to wear a different shirt. And actually tomorrow's Shiur, we will begin with a very special video that speaks about the importance of what we choose to put as our thought, speech, or action, what we choose, so to speak, to dress ourselves with, and how that really affects us. So here we have this ability to change. Just like I said, if at any point in time, someone's in a rut, they're feeling a little down, you could choose to call a friend, you could choose to call a mashpia, you could choose to pick up a sefer and work towards changing those thoughts. Work towards either introducing new ones, right? So we say this very commonly, Sur Mera ve'aseh tov. We should choose to end the negative thoughts that are currently running through our mind, and aseh tov, we should choose to insert new ones, and we can choose to change that article of clothing, so to speak. Okay? But man's intellect and emotions, again, we're on page 34. Man's intellect and emotions are the soul itself, and hence much effort, even a special assistance from above, is necessary in order to change them. So again, we need to work towards fixing them. We need to work towards refining them. That's what we're doing now. It's Maamer. We are working on refining our emotions. But the key part is that we have the ability to have full control over our thoughts, our speech, and our actions. And so I want to give everybody a bit of a challenge. Okay, so today is Sunday. For many people, it's the day that they don't work. It's also the day that they either take it as the relaxing, let me take a break, or they take it as the one day I can actually accomplish all the other things in my life I don't have time to do during my work, right? So let's think, let's go through our day and be a little conscious about how what actions we choose to take. Do we choose to, after the shiur ends, do we choose to roll over in our beds and go back to sleep? Which that, again, everything it might be the best thing for you. It might be that, you spent all night doing very productive things and now you need a little nap. That might be the right thing for you. But again, you have to figure out what's the right thing for you. And how do you know that? We spoke about this in previous Maamerim. How do you know that? What's the right thing for you? The Rebbe explains how you feel at the end. That's how you know if it's the right decision or not. If you think rolling over now and going back to sleep is going to, at the end of the day, you're going to say, wow, I am so proud of myself. I took that nap. Because of that nap, I was able to wake up refreshed and happy, and I was able to accomplish everything else that Hashem, all the shlichus that Hashem wanted me to accomplish. Or I'm going to feel, and sluggish, and like it's going to throw off my entire schedule for the days, right? So every action that we choose during our day, let's be a little conscious. How will I feel at the end of the day by doing this? Will I feel like, wow, that was the right decision for my day, I'm so proud of it? Or do I feel like, I really could have used my Sunday time a lot better? Another thing is, think about how you speak to yourself today. What kinds of voices come, and what do you tell yourself? What are the things that you reinforce? Do you reinforce thoughts and speech of positivity? Do you reinforce thoughts and speech of, revealing the nefesh elokis inside of you? And again, revealing the nefesh elokis sometimes means you have to eat your breakfast, right? So nefesh elokis doesn't just mean, stay and daven and learn and don't accomplish anything else during our day. Our nefesh elokis also needs us to do our tafkid in this world, and our tafkid means you have to eat, you have to take care of yourself, you have to, set for yourself a proper bedtime for tonight so you can have a wonderful Monday morning, right? So all of these things, let's try and be conscious of how we speak to ourselves, how we speak to those around us. How sensitive are we before we send a message, before we press send on a WhatsApp message? Did we think about how that person is going to receive it, right? So today, let's think, how can we be a bit more aware of our thoughts, our speech, and our actions? And again, it doesn't mean don't work on your emotions. Obviously, malchus, when we're working on our malchusdik emotions, it's a beautiful and wonderful thing. But just today, let's do this little challenge and let's see how we can react to our thoughts, our speech, and our actions. And you'll see, hopefully, that you can change it. You can make that decision to wear a certain quote-unquote shirt today than what you did before, right? You can change the way you view certain parts of your life. You can change the way you view your Sundays. You can change the way you view your breakfast. You can change the way you view your davening. And you can do that just by these three garments. You can change the way you wear what you wear. Okay, so tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, we will begin. So don't be startled and try not to be late because it's a very, very powerful video. I think it's about 2 minutes. I'll begin the shiur with a video, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the Maamer. The Maamer has only 6 chapters, so I would assume that we will, Mitzvah Hashem, be finished, but definitely be finished before Shavuos, but I think we'll be finished either tomorrow or the next day. So I will keep you guys posted in Mitzvah Hashem. I'm going to look out for what's our next Maamer, because this one was short and powerful, and we'll continue on. Hope everybody has a wonderful Sunday.